The most valuable experiences in life often come when we have the courage to show ourselves vulnerable, imperfect, and compassionate with ourselves. There is a common belief that one cannot be strong and vulnerable at the same time. But this is a mistake. Vulnerability does not mean weakness. On the contrary, it is a source of courage. And courage is what allows us to move forward, improve, and achieve goals. To begin despite shortcomings, and to continue despite criticism, mistakes, or failures. If we wait to be perfect before acting, we will never dare. We were born to learn from our mistakes, not to pretend perfection. When we fall into the illness of invulnerability, we become paralyzed, overthink everything, and fail to accomplish anything meaningful. Vulnerability means showing the world what we know, aware we might be judged, but daring to do it anyway. To practice courage is, in essence, to practice vulnerability, and both open the door to growth. The game of vulnerability. Vulnerability is at the same time the core of shame and fear, but also the starting point of joy, creativity, belonging, and love. We would all like to be more perfect, more attractive, more intelligent, or more successful. However, the real issue is not what we want, but what we truly are. Vulnerability is never comfortable, but it is essential for growth. Denying it sinks us. Accepting it sets us free. We are constantly playing this game, and the way we face it determines the outcome, with openness or defensiveness. Facing it means recognizing that it involves uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Things we naturally avoid unless we find strong reasons to confront them. The truth is that denying vulnerability carries a high cost: lost relationships, missed opportunities, and wasted time. Over the years, this denial turns into nostalgia for what was not lived and frustration for not daring when it mattered most. 3. Apparent perfection does not connect. We can admire people who seem perfect, but we can never truly love them. Love requires connection, and connection is only possible through vulnerability. Changing our relationship with vulnerability means changing the way we live and love. Living from the fear of being judged is not truly living. It is mere survival. Feeling vulnerable is a sign that we are alive, because it means opening ourselves to experience. Our imperfections make us human, and humanity creates closeness. Secrecy, on the other hand, builds walls and distances people. If we always keep an armor to avoid exposure, it becomes impossible to build deep relationships. The emotional distance created by invulnerability destroys any affective bond. Only when we let others in, showing ourselves as we are, can a real connection be born. And without connection there is no love. Vulnerability, therefore, is the essence of all meaningful human experiences. Without it, there is no full life. 4. Being more than knowing. What we know is important, but what we are matters even more. Knowledge belongs to the rational world, while the essence of happiness lies in the realm of affections and emotions. The true value lies in daring to show ourselves and be seen, not only in accumulating information. Someone who knows a lot may seem admirable from the outside, but if they hide out of fear of not being enough, they will never experience fulfillment. Not showing oneself is allowing fear of judgment and criticism to dominate, which prevents enjoying life. Perfection, far from being an ideal, becomes a trap that generates constant dissatisfaction. Perfectionism is synonymous with unhappiness because it is never attainable. True richness comes from accepting our imperfection as a natural part of life. We are imperfect beings by nature, and it is precisely there that our beauty and our ability to connect with others lies. 5. Bravery and vulnerability. There is not a single example of bravery that does not involve risk, uncertainty, or vulnerability. To be brave is to be vulnerable. The two are inseparable. Vulnerability may be frightening because it means exposure and losing comfort, but it is the only way to grow. What is truly terrifying is not taking risks, but reaching the end of life asking, what would have happened if I had dared? Bravery is essential to living fully, for it opens the doors to creativity, connection, love, and happiness. There is no healthier option than choosing courage, even if scars are left along the way. Comfort may seem attractive, but it brings neither learning nor meaningful achievements. Vulnerability is difficult, but it always bears fruit. Every act of bravery, even if painful, is an act of love toward oneself. Choosing courage over fear is the only way to achieve an authentic and meaningful life. 6th, connection as the reason for being. Connection with others is the driving force that gives meaning to our lives. We were created to live together, to share experiences and feelings. Bonds not only provide us with knowledge, techniques, or tools, but above all, affection and emotional support. The need to be accepted and loved is so deep that when we fear losing that connection, shame arises. We think that if others discover something about us that doesn't match their expectations, we will be rejected. That is why we try to hide our shadows and pretend perfection, which distances us from authenticity. Shame is born from the idea of not being good enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough, not capable enough. Although it seeks to protect us, the price is high. Living behind a mask. Without authenticity, there is no real happiness, for being oneself requires vulnerability. Only by showing ourselves as we truly are can we experience a full and meaningful life. 7. Vulnerability as the basis of connection. Vulnerability is the essential ingredient for a true connection with another person. Opening up, showing ourselves as we are, is what allows contact to be real and deep. If we always try to remain protected and perfect, we only achieve superficial relationships without emotional involvement. Avoiding vulnerability is, deep down, fleeing from ourselves. But without emotional commitment, there is neither love nor true friendship. Becoming emotionally involved means showing our shortcomings, fears, and desires. A friend, for example, is someone who knows both our light and our shadows and still chooses to stay by our side. Authenticity requires courage, expressing what we feel, accepting that not everything is fine, and recognizing our needs. Pretending perfection only delays the problem and creates distance. Vulnerability, on the other hand, brings us closer to others and helps us grow, because only by facing who we are can we truly improve. 8. We live in a vulnerable world. Feeling vulnerable is a common experience for all human beings. Each person experiences it differently. Fear of losing a job, the need to ask for help, fear of rejection, difficulties in a relationship. Although the reasons may vary, vulnerability always accompanies us. Understanding and normalizing it allows us to free ourselves from the pressure of perfectionism. In contrast, projecting invulnerability creates obstacles. It prevents us from asking for help, holds back our passions, limits our relationships, and traps us in the fear of not being perfect. When facing vulnerability, there are two paths. The first is to deny it, which leads to escapes that only numb the discomfort, such as excess consumption or superficial distractions, without solving anything. The second is to accept it, recognizing that it is part of life and learning to manage it. When we show ourselves as we are, vulnerability loses strength and stops controlling us, becoming instead an opportunity for growth. 9. Vulnerability and dignity. The way we face vulnerability largely depends on our sense of dignity. Those who respect and value themselves as human beings do not fear showing themselves as they are, while those who feel they are not enough usually hide for fear of rejection. This hiding is nothing more than a trap of the ego, built by social demands and comparisons with others. Society dictates that we must be successful, attractive, or fit into rigid molds to be accepted. However, true dignity does not depend on external labels, but on recognizing our essential worth. The smaller the ego, the greater the freedom to be vulnerable, and thus, the greater authenticity and happiness. Living with dignity means accepting that we are imperfect and yet still worthy of love and belonging. Freeing ourselves from the need for external approval is the first step to embracing vulnerability and living with fulfillment. 10. Living with authenticity and dignity. Living with authenticity means embracing life with dignity, committing to it in a conscious and meaningful way. It involves freeing ourselves from what we believe we should be, and instead, embracing what we truly are. This authenticity is reflected in 3 fundamental pillars: compassion, courage, and connection. Compassion allows us to accept ourselves as we are and to accept others unconditionally. Courage is the bravery to show ourselves, to let others see us in our truth. And connection arises when we relate from love and acceptance, not from the fear of being judged. These 3 elements form a true expression of self-love. Those who love themselves are able to live in harmony, to enjoy what they have, and to offer the best of themselves to others. Vulnerability is, then, life's great bet. Opening ourselves to experience, showing ourselves authentically, and choosing happiness.